Welcome back, Patriots, and thanks for tuning in to episode number 6 of the Patriot Power Freedom Files. This video series is a way to learn about the creation of the United States or an event, battle, or person in just a few minutes' time. Today, November 15th in 1777, something pretty major happened. The Second Continental Congress approved the Articles of Confederation. It would take 4 years to ratify it and become effective in March 1st, 1781. Usually when the Articles are spoken about, it's in a negative way. It is true that it was pretty limited in what the national government can do and certainly had its flaws. However, it was a very important document that created the name of our country, the United States of America. Some interesting facts about the Articles of Confederation is that each state only had one vote in Congress, regardless of population. So if you were a small state like Rhode Island, you would have one vote. And if you were the largest colony, such as Virginia, you would also have just one vote. This is certainly one of the issues that happened during the making of the Articles of Confederation. Now, in the Articles, Congress did not have the power to tax its citizens. Now, I think that's a pretty good thing, and maybe we should go back to it. But it did make Congress pretty weak, and if money needed to be raised for wars or national urgent matters, Congress could only ask politely, and many states just would not give money. During the Articles, there was no national judicial system, so crimes of varying degrees were done the way they had been, which in many cases weren't the fairest way to do them, especially if you went from state to state. There was no continuity. If Congress wanted to make an amendment or change the Articles of Confederation, it had to have every single state vote the same way, or a unanimous vote, which was almost impossible. 2 states' delegates were absent, and 3 didn't even ratify or sign it. It took 2 years to get all of the needed signatures on the actual document. It was only in effect for about 8 years before it was replaced. Laws required 9 of 13 states in order for it to go into effect and be a law. And with every state so different, it was exceptionally difficult to make laws. I think maybe you agree we have too many laws on the books anyway, but it did pose problems for the new country. Benjamin Franklin wrote the very first draft of the Articles, but it was never considered. A total of 6 drafts were written, but none of these drafts contributed significantly to the 4th version, which was written by John Dickinson of Pennsylvania. The text, after much revision, provided the basis for the Articles approved eventually by Congress. Now, John Dickinson prepared his draft in June of 1776. It was revised by a committee of Congress and then discussed in late July and August. The result, the 3rd version of Dickinson's original, was printed to enable Congress to consider it further. In November of 1777, the final Articles, much altered by this long, deliberated process, were approved for submission to the states. John Dickinson also wrote Letters from a Farmer in Pennsylvania. It's pretty interesting stuff, and you can learn a lot more about it if you check out episode 11 on my podcast, which is called Patriot Power Podcast. You can find it on all platforms. So even though the Articles needed changed, and there were issues with it, it did serve as the framework for what would eventually become the United States Constitution. Visit the Patriot Power Podcast website at patriotpowerpodcast.com, where I have maps, videos, and a whole bunch of more information and resources for free for you. In fact, I just released episode 29 of my podcast, which actually coincides with the last Freedom Files, where I talk about an incredible march to Quebec and then the Battle of Quebec. It's extremely interesting, so I hope that you listen to that podcast episode. Give this video a heart or a like and share it with somebody that you think might like it as well.